Hey guys, welcome to the Toy Vox. We got a massive episode today. We're looking at 5 new T'au figures, 2 Crisis suits, and of course you gotta have some Ultramarines in there. So we got Calgar, we got the techmarine. This is gonna be a long one, so go ahead and make you something to eat, get you a drink, kick back, and here we go. The first figure we're going to look at is going to be the T'au Empire XV8 Crisis Battlesuit. This thing is awesome looking. It's huge. Got that sweet Gatling gun. Who doesn't like robots? To me, this is like a Gundam on crack, ready to go into the war. Let's go ahead and look at. So this is our detail display shot. It kind of points out a few extra details. And starting off, the first thing you're going to see is that clear figure stand. I'm constantly complaining about how unsightly they are. Joy Toy is adding something to this that is going to make a secondary option for you to display this without needing that giant stand. But with that being said, I'm excited to see how it works, and we'll get into it here in a second so you can actually see an image of what I'm talking about. But it's going to be these little cups that go under his feet, and then you can kind of remove that stand altogether. The problem is he's going to be top heavy. I mean, you look at all this mass that's sitting on those 2 little ball joints for ankles. I'm interested to see how this is going to work. But here is our front and back shots. You can see more of that stand that kind of plugs into his backpack there. I can't really tell from this image if he's actually standing on the stand. And if that's the case, then I really don't see how these cups are going to really help stand him up. But yeah, he's top heavy. This is definitely one of those figures that you want to put towards the back of your shelf, so if he does topple over, he doesn't take a dive and shatter. Because who the hell wants to spend $150 to $200 on something just for it to break? But this guy looks great. So here's what that stand does. It's like a flight stand, so you can get him way up in the air, flying around, doing battle from the sky. It's got little screws in those stands that you can tighten to hold a pose. You can unscrew so you can move that stand around. I'm not really sure on the height. I've got some images that I'll show a little later that have the T'au lined up. Most of them come to this guy's waist. So that would probably be like just under 4 inches. So I'm thinking this guy from head to toe, we're looking at maybe, I'm going to say about 10 inches. Probably wrong. But if he's 10 inches, then this guy sitting right here is probably every bit of 13 inches tall with that gun extended in the air. So this guy's going to have some shelf presence. He looks great. So here's his loadout, and as you can see, those cups. So this picture does show that he is standing on the stand. But those cups will actually slide under each foot, so you can have him splayed out. And really now, the more that I sit and think about this, it's not going to be an option of cups or stand. You're going to need them both. And the reason why is if you have those legs spread out, they're not, all 3 toes there are not levels. You're going to need that cup for support. So no, what I said earlier is bullshit. Sorry. You're going to need the cups and the stand if you're going to have a more dynamic pose. So yeah, we're learning as we go. But this guy looks great. That's our first Crisis suit. Here's our second Crisis suit, our XV8 Crisis Battle Suit. Again, this guy looks cool, loaded with guns. Obviously, he's got a different painted head, so he can look different and separate, so you can buy more than one. Here is our detailed display shot, and man, this to me is the one that I'll be getting. The other one is kind of cool, but this guy is just big, he's chunky, he's loaded out with weapons, ready to just really destroy people. Here's our front and back shot where you can see that backpack, again, that flight stand that snaps in. And again, on this picture, you can see he's actually using that stand for balance. So it's unsightly, and I'm just going to bring this up again. I've said it in every video where a figure requires a stand. If you're a customizer, you can make a really nice acrylic stand for this guy. Now obviously you're going to have to engineer how you can get it to pose around like Joy Toys, but if you can make a nice acrylic stand that can hold this weight and looks more appealing as opposed to this, because this stand's ugly. I mean, if it was pure clear, wouldn't have an issue. It's just very unsightly. It shouldn't look like more of the figure. To me, that is the point of having a flight stand. You should not be diverting your eyes towards the stand. It should be on the figure itself. So if it was crystal clear, it would be money. So again, if you're out there, you've got a little acrylic shop, you're a customizer, hook it up, figure something out, send me a DM because I'll buy him. All right, so here he is on his flight stand. He looks amazing. Really, I'm excited to see how this is going to work. If you can look at that picture, though, where that stand actually connects into the figure, that looks like a small peg. And I don't know if it's extended. Hopefully that doesn't snap. I'm looking at these the same time you guys are. These all dropped all at once. But this guy looks great for any of you T'au fans. I'm happy for him. And here is his full loadout. So those I guess they're pistols. You can tell me I'm wrong. I know I am. The pistols, rifles, they come unattached. They look great. Yeah, this guy is awesome. I can't wait. So now we're going to get into the T'au figures themselves. And we've got the Commander Shadowsun. This guy is killer. I mean, I don't know as much about T'au as I should. And I know you're sitting there like, why the hell are you talking about him? Look, it's cool stuff. I love the way he looks. He looks amazing. This guy kind of gives me an Attack on Titan vibe with that gun. Let's go ahead and look at his detail display. We can go ahead and get a closer look at his face sculpt, which looks great. Those wings on his backpack. Man, this guy is just fully loaded. I'm really excited for any of you guys out there that have been wanting to create a display of Xenos getting messed up. And this is definitely your opportunity. Here's his front and back shot where again you can see all these details. There is a lot going on here. Wow. So that ponytail, I'm sure you're sitting there looking at that ponytail. That is not going to be posable. So that is the position it is stuck in. If you've had any of the Black Legion Chaos figures, you'll know that those ponytails do not move. So you're going to have to kind of pose around them. But still, I mean, so most people when they post their pictures, and it's just based off of what I see, they're typically putting them in one pose and leaving them that way. So you shouldn't have too hard of a time kind of moving around that ponytail, working around it. It still looks great. I me personally would prefer that hair to be in the pose it is as opposed to just laying down. And the reason why is it would hinder the articulation on the neck. With it just draped over his shoulder or something like that, it wouldn't look good. And plus, Joy Toy's doing a great job staying true to the miniatures. They're just scaling them up. But this looks really good. So the next picture is Shadowsun on a flight stand. So we're going to get a flight stand with him as well. I'm not going to go and say again to you acrylic guys, you know what to do. Start your business. I'm buying. But he does have a flight stand and also a helmet. So you don't have to worry about that helmet being like a Chinese exclusive. These are all retailer shots, so everything that's in these photos will come with the figures, so you don't have to stress on chasing those down on the secondary market. But anyways, we're looking at him on this flight stand. It looks good. Again, you've got a posable stand that you can unscrew those, position them however you want, screw them back in, get them nice and tight. Please be careful if there's any Figuarts collectors out there or Figma. You understand how important it is not to over tighten these screws, because once you do, you have basically rendered that stand useless. Finding replacement screws can be very difficult, and going off the current track record of how quick some of these figures are selling out, who wants to buy this guy just for a stand? I mean, you don't want to spend extra money, so just be really careful on those screws when you're tightening them. You don't want to strip the screw, and you definitely don't want to strip the housing that the screw goes into. But yeah, we got a flight stand, so this guy has a ton of posing options. Let's go ahead and look at him here. This is his loadout. So we've got a helmeted head, an unhelmeted head, a really nice pistol, and we got some posing hands. You know, we're going to have a total of 5 hands, which is great, but there's not a whole lot of options here. I guess we're going to have balled up fist hands in case he wants to get into a fist fight, which is great for posing. And just the hand that's going to hold that pistol. Not a whole lot of options here for different hand posing and mannerisms, but we've got a helmeted head, unhelmeted head. The figure is crazy. I mean, there's way too much detail going on in this, but this one's exciting. So that brings us to the T'au Empire Fire Warriors. So there's 4 T'au here. The one thing that I am not sure of is this going to be a 4-figure set, or are they going to sell them individually? This image kind of presents itself as if you're getting 4. And that was the ideology when the Krieg were announced, that they showed all 6 together, so people assumed, oh cool, you know, we're going to get a 6-pack here. As of right now, I'm just going to make the assumption these are going to be sold individually. They have not done packs in a while, so just be prepared that you're going to be buying these individually, and really it works out. And the reason why, and I'll go into this, I've said it before, but again, if you're new here, I'm going to go into this. You would much rather them sell these separately. as opposed to a box set. And the reason why is you're able to cherry pick. So, for instance, if you're more interested in the 3 characters that just come with helmets, you're not going to have to go and buy that box set again to get rid of the guy without the helmet, just for the guys with the helmet. So it's a lot easier to go in there and purchase one figure because you want to have 5, as opposed to purchasing a second box set and being stuck with 8. So let's start looking at these individually. Here's the T'au Empire Fire Warrior number 1. Now, none of these guys have names yet. They will eventually. I don't have them in front of me. I've not seen them listed yet, so I really am only going to be calling them 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here's soldier number 1. It's got a really cool red detailed paint on his shoulder gauntlet. That looks great. His rifle looks really cool. I'm really liking the colors of red, blue, and white. I mean, it really pops. It stands out. This looks cool. Here is the detail display, the front shot of him that shows all of his loadouts. He's got the little knee armor. Again, that shoulder pauldron. His face looks crazy. And it's basic. That's the cool part that I'm really liking about these T'au. They're basic, yet they look so futuristic and alive. I love this design. Again, his rifle looks good. Here's a front and back shot of him. The other thing that we're not dealing with these guys is pouches. Nothing that you really have to worry about falling off, which is great. Sometimes those little charms that come with the Marines, they can get a little loose sometimes. They can fall off when you're posing, and if you're not paying attention, you lose them. But we don't really have to deal with that here. This looks good. So here's soldier number 1's loadout. We've got knee guards that come on and off, which is great. So again, if you are buying multiples, there's options here to make them look different. He's got a really cool backpack, a rifle, a knife. So we're going to have 4 hands total with him. And it looks like, is that a data slate? What are we looking at here? I'm not sure what that other item is. You can go ahead and tell me in the comment section. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that is. But there's a lot of options here. So you're going to get at least 2 different looks out of this figure, which is great, especially for anyone who wants to army build. Here's our soldier number 2. Again, first thing you're going to notice that shoulder pauldron is now white, so there's some difference. He's got a longer rifle, which looks really good. Here's a front detailed display shot of him, showing again the shoulder pauldron, different head sculpt, the thigh guard, close shot of his rifle. Here's our front and back, which again, much like the one before that, and the next 2 figures after this, it's going to be very much the same. So we can skip this one, and we can go ahead and look at his loadout. His is clearly a little different. We got a backpack, some thigh guards again for different display options, a really cool sniper rifle, and again, 4 hands. So we're getting into that territory where figures are almost guaranteed to come with extra hands, which is it's really nice. You know, it gives us different options for display. So here's our Fire Warrior Soldier number 3. This guy obviously comes unhelmeted, which is great. He's got that rifle. Let's go ahead and look at the front display, where it just calls out the same thing, you know, shoulder pauldron, the face, the thigh guards, his rifle again. We're getting repetitive, but we're going to get through this, I promise. Here's the front and back shot again, a little bit of the same thing. So here is our loadout for him, which again, backpack, thigh guards, sniper rifle, 4 hands. This guy looks really cool. This one's my favorite out of the all, just because he comes unhelmeted. So this can kind of be the leader of the squad, which I definitely like that. And here is soldier number 4. Getting really repetitive at this point. I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of speed through this guy. Here's our front display, pointing out again, shoulder pauldron, head sculpt, thigh guards, and the end of the rifle. Here's our front and back. Now that I'm looking at this, I'll go ahead and talk about it. Those feet are very interesting. I don't know how they're going to display. I don't really see exactly where the ankle rocker is going to be on these. Obviously, it's up in the shin housing, but I see that hindering a little bit of your options to kind of splay his feet out. So he's going to be a little hard to pose. If you want him on his knee, almost like he's squatting down to take a shot, that foot, that big toe is definitely going to get in the way of that. But the positive side is those knee guards that have that flat surface may actually act as a nice balancing point. So that'll make that really nice option for your display. And here's his loadout. I'm not sure, looking at it just because it caught my eye, I'm not sure what that black cartridge is, so please tell me. I don't know if it's a cell phone, I have no idea. But we've got a backpack, that really nice rifle, 4 hands, and thigh guards, which is really great. So if you add all that up, between thigh guards and no thigh guards, you're automatically at 8 different characters, which is really, really nice. So you're probably wondering, okay, we saw the T'au, we saw the crisis suits. Here is a shot of the 4 soldiers all together, and again, there's one crouching down like I explained. I guess that knee joint is not going to act as a balancing point, at least that armor piece on his knee, so I was wrong there. It's okay to be wrong. I'm learning, right? I'm kind of seeing these pictures right now, so we're kind of looking at them at the same time. It's kind of nice, we're enjoying a moment together. How about that? So you can see these figures are spread out wide, the 2 on each ends. They have a wide stance. The guy in the middle that's not obviously bending down, you can see his legs are closer together. So there is a rocker in there. It's well hidden, which is a plus, because it just looks great. It looks natural. Him being squatted down, again, that looks good. I'm happy about that. You can kind of see the toe back there does not get in the way, which is also nice. And as far as scale with those crisis suits, here is an image with everyone together. So Shadowsun, obviously much taller. The other soldiers are much shorter, so when I said that they came up to the waist, I'm sorry, I was talking about Shadowsun, not the other soldiers. So the soldiers should come in around Krieg height. So that would put the crisis suits, they've got to be at least 10 inches. So they're going to be pretty big. This is going to be a start to the T'au collection, so if you've been waiting, this is it. Some of these figures are limited. Joy Toy had talked about lowering their unit numbers from 3,000 to closer to 1,000. So don't panic, right? But you also should get these as soon as they're listed, just to guarantee that you'll have them. I'm sure some U.S. distributors will get them, but again, you're going to pay almost double. But that's the T'au. Now let's get into the Ultramarines. Ultramarines, of course, you can't have a release without them. They're the go-to chapter. So our first figure is going to be... So we've got the Ultramarines Chapter Master Calgar. This is a great-looking figure. I'm just going to get right into it on this one and go straight into the detail display, where it's pointing out his head. We've got, so much detail on those shoulder pauldrons with that eagle spread out. We've got a ton of sigils and seals on him. Giant shin guards. Let's go ahead and look at front and back. So I am going to point this out. That cape is a very soft material. It is rubber, but it is pliable, so you can bend it around if you need to, but it's not going to stay in place. There's no wires inside of it. Like I said, it's soft enough to move around and keep most poses, but if you want to have him crouch down, that front cloth and his cape are going to kind of hinder that and almost create a spring. The other thing that you'll notice is that bullet belt that's going from his backpack to his guns on his wrist. That's going to hinder a lot of articulation. It is a soft material just like his cape. But again, you're not going to be able to get full rotation of his arm, which why would you? You are going to be able to extend his arms out, which is nice. Of course, the shoulder pauldrons are going to hinder that a little bit as well. You're not going to get that T pose ever out of this figure. But if you want to extend his arm out, it will work. That belt may pull the arm back or down a little bit. So you'll just have to work around a pose that really works, makes him look good. So here's a really cool action shot of him just holding his arm up. As you can see under his left arm, that piping, that's probably maxed out for that piping. That arm's not going up anymore. The other thing you have to really worry about is that piping material, especially the yellow and black cabling. They can be a little fragile. So I'm only basing that off the librarian because he had some of those cables that snapped off. The rubber material, it is a good, decent rubber material. The problem is that it's soft compared to the hard plastic of the rest of the figure. So it's kind of just super glued there, and that point can become very fragile. So just be careful with this when you're posing around. Even some of those seals that are throughout the body, those are glued onto the figure. They're not sculpted on, so it's very easy to hit them and knock them off. And you know, you don't want to run to the store and get Gorilla Glue and have to fix a figure. You shouldn't have to do that. Another thing I would like to point out, and thanks again to Super Deluxe Man on Twitter, he pointed out on this figure that there are spent shell casings coming out of his right arm's gun. It's cool for action poses, but I mean, if you've got your figure just standing there blowing out rounds, it doesn't really make sense. You could cut that off if you're a customizer out there and don't like that look. Just shear that off. You can hit it with some black paint to kind of cover that up. To me, it's a really cool detail. And again, Joy Toy's just continually proving that they're staying true to those miniatures. Here's his loadout. Nice, short, and sweet. We got a cape. We got an alternative head sculpt, which is great. That helmet on that figure looks fantastic. I did not mention that before in the last photo, but the helmet was on the figure. It's very imposing. For me, I really like my figures having that helmet. The unhelmeted head, I don't know why. It's not that the figures aren't detailed enough. The paint's not great. For some reason, when I see a Marine, it has to have that helmet on. It just looks so imposing. But that's pretty much that figure. You know, to get that cape on, that backpack will slide off, so you can put the cape on. And obviously, it gives you the option to have the cape on or off. But there's a lot going on this figure. He's great. And our final figure is the Ultramarines Primaris Techmarine. This guy is huge. He's just loaded out with tons of stuff. Let's get into it. Here is the detail display frontal shot where we can see that giant axe. There's so much going on here. You know, we've got the close-up of his chest, a close-up of the axe, showing off that Ultramarines kneecap logo, because some people are going to see red and not understand why this is an Ultramarine. This is not a Blood Angel. Let's go ahead and look at the back shot here, where we've got tons of tubes coming out of all other places. Again, I'm just going to say it real fast. Be careful with those tubes. They are very fragile. And I don't see it hindering much. So that tube that's coming out of his backpack on his right side, that is an appendage that's going to stretch out from the front of him. That tube that is coming out of his left side, though, I believe that goes right into his left arm. So that may hinder a little bit of articulation with that usage of the left arm. You may not get full rotation. But again, that backpack and the armature coming off his left side is going to stop a full rotation anyways. So here's a really cool action pose where you can see that arm, that mechanical arm stretched out, which is cool. It's loaded with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation just on that arm. And then of course that claw hand, it looks like that will close in a few different spots as well, similar to the dreadnoughts that have those articulated fingers. That's a really nice touch. He's got his pistol extended out. There you can see that cabling in his left forearm that goes back to his backpack. So not much hindrance in this photo, which is really nice to see. And we can see that claw arm that's actually up over his right arm. I am pretty sure that is going to... I'm not sure if that claw arm that's coming over his right arm, I'm not sure if that's bendy wire. I'm not sure if that's stuck in one place, if it's going to be a hard plastic that just swivels around from the backpack. Me personally, I hope it's a hard piece with no movement in it, just because you have to worry about that wire snapping with inside that rubber casing. But time will tell once these figures get out, and we'll get an answer to that. But yeah, this guy is amazing looking. I can't wait to buy him, have him kind of working on a dreadnought. He's got that really cool shoulder blaster on his backpack. Here's his loadout, and he's got a ton of stuff. So first off, 2 head sculpts. We've got a helmeted head, unhelmeted head. We've got his backpack with claws on it. And again, this photo tells me that arm just swivels at the backpack point, which is cool. I'm all right with that. He's got a big axe and a total of 6 hands, which is great. But you're going to notice he only has swap out hands for his left hand. There are no different swap out hands for his robotic Terminator style hand, which kind of sucks. I don't really know why Joy Toy wouldn't include different swap out hands for that right hand. So every hand here, obviously they're all left-handed. It's a little boring, you know. Who wouldn't want that robotic hand pointing? That would look really nice. But there's a lot going on here. We've got pouches that will plug into his waist. As you can see, he's got that unholstered pistol pouch that's on the figure right now. You could pop that off. The pouch that's laying next to his pistol, you could plug that in. There's little plug ports on these figures for options like that. I'm going to go back to the back image where you can see on his waist that pouch is plugged in there. I'm going to go back over to the loadout. So, and again, we've got that pistol. So this guy comes with a lot. You know, he's kind of decked out, and visually, he's just going to be a centerpiece in his own because he has so much going on. So that was the Joy Toy T'au and Ultramarines wave. I assume these guys will more than likely be on pre-order sometime next week or around October 25th. So start saving now. Gosh, you really don't have long. Again, some of these figures are going to be limited in numbers. More than likely, it's going to be Calgar. He should be manufactured higher, but those T'au figures, I would get them as soon as you see they're available. Alright, so I know you've been waiting, so let's just go ahead. Let's talk about some of these figures. Now we're going to have a Crusade squad. Obviously, this is one of them. This is going to be another one of them. And we've got a Sword Brethren. This guy looks really cool, man. Look at those skulls on his chest. I really like that piece on top of his backpack. But the one that I am hands down the most excited for is going to be Marshall. That backpack, man, that just, I don't know what it is, but the idea of medieval futuristic figures with the skeleton that he's just running around with on his backpack is just so badass. It's so menacing. So these are Black Templars, and these little teasers usually come out about a week before there's a full-scale reveal. So get ready, because there's a ton of Black Templars coming soon. That is everything in this video, you guys. I really appreciate you sticking around, watching it. I know it was a long one. Tons of reveals today. Let me run through everything. So please don't forget, like this video. Please subscribe. Head on over to Twitter. Follow me there at JoyToyWarhammer. If you really like TikTok, I had these posted up earlier. That is at JoyToyWarhammer. Find our Discord. It is, again, it's at Joy Toy Warhammer. You can go and find a link through Twitter. It is also searchable now through Discord. We are over 1,100 members as of today, which is fantastic. Tons of conversations going on there by the minute. So go ahead and join there. We will start our next giveaway in our Discord in about a week and a half. Probably November 6th is when that will start. And that giveaway is sponsored by Cool Toys Club. Please check them out at www.cooltoysclub.com. They've got all the newest releases. They have past releases. Their prices are amazing. Their shipping services are fast, usually free. They do ship internationally. So if you've had an eye on this line and you're trying to find that place that's a one-stop shop, Cool Toys Club is it. The owner's name is Lloyd Chin. He's been a fantastic person. So thanks for watching the video. Tell me down in the comments what you're most excited for, or even what you're looking forward to next. And I'll catch you guys at the next one.